We're ready. Are we recording? Okay, yay. Welcome back, Double Teamed fam. How are we doing today? This mic keeps moving, Nicole. Anyways, today we welcome, we've been a huge fan of this show for quite some time, especially when DT started. They were our idol. But today we welcome Laura Ramadei, sex educator and host of Girls on Porn.
Thank you for having me. It's genuinely delightful to be here.
Thanks for coming. So to tell you guys, Kimmy and I were at a play party and I was just walking along and I see Laura and I was like, wait. I was like, I know her. And I'm like, well, where do I know her from? I'm like, I've never met her, but I know her. I know what she sounds like, everything. And then I was like, oh my God, it's the girl from Girls on Porn. And I ran over to Kimmy and I told her and she was like, oh my God, she's here. Which one? And I was like, the one with the curly hair. And she's like, they both have curly hair. But my favorite part of that was like, she comes up to me and like, it's almost like she forgot for an instant. She was like, I just met the host of that one show we really like. And I'm like, which one? And she's like, the girls and like, there's porn. And we're like, okay. And I'm like, okay, what's the name of that? And like, and I knew the show exactly. And I was like, wait, shit, what is the name?
There's girls and there's porn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to come to us.
Our friends are right in front of us. And then I was like, Girls on Porn. And they're like, wow, imagine that.
I don't know how you put that together.
Right.
Yeah, Smart. It's amazing to be recognized. It usually only happens at sex parties. But
really?
Yeah.
That's actually
occasionally elsewhere, but like there's a higher quotient for sure.
Actually, I will say we've been recognized at quite a few sex parties here in LA.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah. And it's funny because one time Cammie and I were like hugging. It was like New Year's Eve. We were like hugging and we're just, our faces are plastered together. And this girl like walks right by and then she like comes back and she's like double teamed. And we're like, so it's always so fun.
I think that she like did a loop around, be like, okay, so there are definitely two of them. This is it. This is the moment.
The weirdest place that we've gotten recognized was the gym.
Oh.
As he was listening to an episode, he literally turns his phone around, and shows us his phone. And he's listening to an episode. Goes, oh wait, and I'm like, what? And he turns his phone, and I was like, oh, hi. So
that's funny.
Does that happen in New York for you often as well?
Not so much in New York because I think it's more. I'm not there that often, like when I am, I'm like on the streets. I'm either like with people I either like know already, who might know the pod or want to talk about it, but like it's not like strangers running up like through traffic. Like I don't think I quite have that draw. Rachel, on the other hand, does get recognized all the time. Like I have a theory that she's more recognizable, or people like she also works at this restaurant, like she manages and runs a restaurant, so like. She works at a very hip spot and has like her own kind of like social life placed in that. And people know her as the Bernie's girl, but also as host of Girls on Porn. So people will sometimes conflate those and be like, you're Rachel. Oh my God. Like I'm such a big fan, and kind of put it together. So, but yeah, it was nice.
I love it. Have you been to any play parties in New York? I'm curious. Or has Rachel?
Yes, Rachel has been to Sanctum in New York. Okay. We have a friend who performs with Sanctum, so I've been in LA and she's been in New York. That happened fairly recently, and it was kind of fun for us to test the different branches of the parties.
Yeah.
I've been to one or two in New York, but a long time ago, like years ago, so I'm not sure. Like I wasn't really in the play scene as much, or like the party scene specifically, when I was still living in New York prior to 2019. So I'd been to one or two, but I don't even think they had like a name. It was more like connected through friends kind of thing. Like I don't remember any branding. But
because we go to New York probably 2-3 times a year, and we've only checked out Sanctum there as well. So I'm like, I wanna see what the other some people have mentioned a few. Hacienda.
I've heard of that one.
House of Sex, House of Yes. Apparently.
House of Yes, yeah. Which is more of like I have been there.
Yeah.
I almost don't include them on like the party list because it's more of a venue and it's a club.
Yeah.
Although you're definitely seeing like play party worthy stuff.
Yeah.
But more performance centric than it is just a space for people to like fuck on different beds.
Because when we went, it was fun, but it was definitely more like clubby vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, for our listeners that don't know, how did y'all's pod come together?
How did it start?
Yeah.
So Rachel and I knew each other through the like theater and acting worlds. I'm not an actor anymore, but I was for a long time, and we like literally met in a class.
Oh.
And we were like, you seem cool. And we kind of just had a sort of tangential friendship for a couple of years. And then she also went to school with some friends of mine. We started seeing each other at parties that those mutual friends would host. And somewhere along the line, we figured out that we were both really sex positive. Like we found each other to be like, hey, what are you watching? Like, have you heard of this thing, X Confessions? Like, how do you avoid this? Like finding that like, it was kind of one of the only women I talked to about that. Like I would talk to guys about porn, but like they were watching different stuff or they didn't have the same concerns. Like it was such a like aha moment to meet Rachel and be like, oh, okay, so where do you find it? Do you go here? Like, what about, have you heard of this place? Like to kind of do that kind of thing. And then she had a room open up in her apartment and I ended up taking it. And before I moved in, I was like, man, we're going to talk about porn a lot. That's a podcast. That's obviously a podcast.
I love it.
Like that's a podcast. And it occurred to me to make the show about reviewing porn, like two women talking about how to avoid the stuff where you feel like worried for the female performer, or you're like, this whole thing has a really assaulty vibe, you know, like we don't want to watch this. And I literally like pitched it to her over text before I moved in. I was like, hopefully you're into this because maybe that's weird for us to live together if you're not. But I have this idea, hear me out. We review porn. It's a podcast. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so in. And we started planning and hatching ideas and like plotting. And then we'd kind of shared it with our friend Amanda, who works at Seth Meyers. Amanda was kind of talking about it a little bit. And we had essentially like been like, do you actually want to produce this? Because initially I was a theater producer at the time. I was like, this is easy. Like we can figure out how to edit and engineer, but like, there's no designers to hire. There's no set to build. Like this sounds logistically incredibly achievable. Let's just make it. And then the three of us were kind of putting together segments, figuring out what it was. And Amanda was kind of talking about it casually at work among a bunch of comedy writers. And one of them was like, you should pitch this to HeadGum. Like they would totally snatch it up. So we ended up really just making 1 or 2 episodes on our own that turned out to kind of be demos. We had a phone call with HeadGum, kind of soft pitched it. We're like, this is what we're thinking. I don't think we even realized how formal of a pitch it might have been. We were just like, this is the idea. Like, don't you hate when like the guy weirdly keeps his t-shirt on and they're like poo bearing through the video? Like, you know, just kind of like genuinely talking about things that they were like, oh, that's hilarious. And that is something I've thought about. And then they gave us a spot on their network. So we've been with them ever since.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of why we started our pod.
Yeah.
Which is kind of just like, we always talked about sex very openly, very like positively. And then one day someone was like, y'all should just start a podcast about it. And we were like, okay. And we just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
But we had like no direction. You guys at least like came up with like a plan.
Yeah, no.
We were just like, let's just buy some mics and see how it goes.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great though. It seemed to be doing well. Did you come from a particularly progressive family? Like you were always comfortable?
No, my God. I mean, we talked about it plenty on our show, but it's like our sex talk was, you're a whore, don't do it. And like, other than that, we never learned anything from like our parents. So and I think for us, like our sex positivity didn't come until we like actually started reading like, smut and those kind of books.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was going to ask you what your first experience with porn was, because like for us, I think it was like we watched it at a friend's house.
Yeah.
Wow.
All together on a
Or like 4 of us girls like with a laptop.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like some quiz where like the girls naked and you like answer questions. But
Yeah.
it's like, 4 freaking teenagers just like tee hee hee.
And for me, like other than that, like all I ever did was just look up like pictures of boobs on Tumblr, and that was it.
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
chive.
Yeah, we did AIM chat. Like that was like my first introduction. I'm probably dating myself, but like the AOL chat rooms,
Yeah.
where you could just like find any
remember
sexy
those.
room. I didn't know what I was saying. I of course was like, prepubescent at the time, but I'm like, I'm a 19-year-old blonde with 42 double G boobs, just like crafting some persona and then just sort of sexting with strangers. But you would kind of learn things if they knew what they were doing. Like, I'm like, oh, you're sucking on the clit like a baby bottle. Okay, what do you mean by that? Like, oh, your cock is 15 centimeters. How many inches is that?
Wait, how many inches is that?
Yeah, I don't remember. I had to look it up at the time, and it certainly didn't stick. 7?
I think it's 7. Yeah, because it's like 2 centimeters to an inch.
Maybe. I don't know the
7.
math, but I'm guessing just, I feel like, it's like, is it 2? It's not perfect, but it's like 2/3, something like that. Yeah, definitely smaller in inches than, you know what I mean? It's not 15 inches for sure, but
Yeah,
I couldn't say with perfect confidence how many.
I think it would be 7. Anyway, wait, what's the biggest you've seen in real life? Now, not to go on that tangent, but now I'm curious. Mine was
Biggest
12.
dick I've seen in real life.
Because we've all seen porn dick.
All seen porn dick. I mean, real, yeah. In the porn verse, my brain like immediately goes to like animated cocks that are like as big as a person.
Oh, yeah.
I think in real life, like to someone's knee, you know, which is
What?
too much for me. Like I'm not a
In
size
real
queen in real life. Yeah. And there's definitely at least one party scenario where I was like, that is literally like another limb. But I've also like seen,
What?
I have encountered in my own life, like my forearm sized situation.
Wow.
Like from
Wait,
my
let me
wrist to
see.
my elbow. Like I've
And
dealt with
the
that.
girth?
Yeah, similar
Wow.
girth, similar like length. Like it wasn't quite shaped, it didn't like come to a point, but a very challenging, like where you're like, okay, we're gonna figure out how to
breath, spread the
navigate this. Yeah, like checking in with myself. Like, yeah, I almost feel for people with dicks that big because I think it's kind of this like
You're never going to be fully seated in a chick.
exactly. And I've even said that to someone, not this particular person, but someone with a big cock. I didn't acknowledge it for a couple hookups. I was like, he gets that compliment all the time. I'm not gonna like tell him his dick is like big and incredible. But I was like eventually was like, so you've got a pretty big dick, and he was like, I was wondering when you were gonna say something, and I was like, okay, first of all, calm down. But then I was like, yeah, I bet you never like get head all the way down. Like I bet no one can really take it all or like really like deep throat. And he was like, that's true. And it wasn't like he was like bothered by it. He wasn't like, yeah, it sucks. But he was like, good point. That is a thing. But, you know, we all use our hands, right? Like we know. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same
And
time,
with the mouth.
yeah, that's also
Mouth and hands.
exhausting.
That's what?
That also just sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Like when it's too big like that, and then you have to like, you know, use every part of you. Like it already takes a lot for me to be like, oh, enthusiasm.
No,
but
that's
now
like, that's
really
why
gotta-
I feel for them. Like, I mean, some people are champs and are like, let's go, or just like genuinely really love a gigantic cock. And it's almost like the challenge of it, maybe that
Yeah.
they dig. But there's so much mythology around big cocks. Like there's such a lie around like that being necessary. I mean, you probably talked about this on the show, but like only 8 to 20% of people with vulvas come from penetrative sex alone.
Yeah.
So
And most of the time, it happens right at the
it's
opening.
literally, it's like less than my fingers
Yeah,
that you need to like get
exactly.
in there, you
Yeah.
know? So we're hyping up this thing that I'm like, that's literally gonna hurt you, you
Yeah.
know? Like I have an
It's gonna bruise
IUD.
your
I don't want
cervix,
that
yeah.
like bopping around, you know? So
This conversation is reminding me that like when I first started watching porn, I only ever watched lesbian porn. So now I never even saw like porn dick until like probably college.
yeah.
Because most of the time I always just looked at women. I don't know why. I think I should have known then I was bisexual, but like
Maybe.
yeah. And then when I started watching porn that actually included men, then I was like, oh, other men also can have really big dicks. But
Yeah.
I think so. We had a porn star who once said she was like below 3 and above 8. That's like the porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Below 3 because it's, you know, small and that's its own thing. And then above 8 because then
yeah,
it's
there's a
like
whole
big.
category. of people.
Girth
Yeah.
and then length meaning.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
Exactly.
know, part of the reason they have such big cocks in porn, aside from the like emulation of and like putting on a pedestal the giant cock, but literally for visuals. So you can see the cock going in and out and it makes
Yeah.
it easier to angle and be like, I can
Yep.
see the like motion of the penetration. Whereas we all know like often in sex, you're not like pulling the thing all the way out and like getting a fucking shot over here.
Yep.
You're just fucking like this and someone can only see you if they're directly above you.
Exactly.
You know, gorilla style.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way.
That was such like a technical answer. I
Yeah.
loved it. Are you a Capricorn?
No, I'm a Sagittarius, Taurus.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew there was earth in there. I knew there was earth in there because I was like,
A bunch of it, yeah.
yeah, because everything that you like, or at least the way that you've gone about everything has been so like, very like structured in a lot of ways. You know, like when you guys were starting the pod, but then also like your responses and everything. I was like, there's earth.
I'm a very structural thinker, yeah. And I'm
like
also like, I think what's part of what Rachel and I had in common that birthed the podcast was like, we both have an eye for production. We're both in the performance worlds.
Yeah.
So we were looking at it for production value, which,
Yeah.
you know, women tend to do more than men of like, what is this horrible leather couch? Like, why are we fucking on that? Like we were finding the porn that's in these like lush Italian villas or in like the south of France, you know, that you're like, oh, I want to fuck there, you know? So that part of it, but also the structural element of like, how do you tell the story of porn? Like, does it always have to be blowjob, head, first position, second position, third position, cum shot? You know, like, why is it always so formulaic? And like, I'm really interested in that. I'm a writer and producer as well. So like that, the way that that's progressed historically, the different elements that have shifted the way that porn works, the way that the internet has shifted the porn that we consume it's all really fascinating to me.
I want to hear about some of these shifts. Tell us.
I was going to say, like, I've seen, for example, I saw one porn video once where it's like they were on a jet ski.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, going around a fucking like lake in a jet ski fucking. And I'm like, A, this sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
B, like, who is jet ski porn? Like, who is Googling this?
Yeah,
Like, what's so
who's
exciting?
watching it is like a more complicated question than than making it, but it's also like the algorithm. It's like the more extreme something is, it'll sort of grab attention. Like people click on that for the same reason you do, that they're like, what? Like they're fucking in a Tesla? Like there's a whole genre of like extremist porn. Like not extremist necessarily, like that word has a lot of connotation, but like extreme porn, or like we're doing something so crazy, or like it's public sex, so there's like an element of that kind of danger in it. And that's basically what the show is us kind of unpacking and talking about and figuring out like, okay, who's watching this, and are they actually turned on by this, or are they just watching this because it's compelling or it's like clickbait? And then like what might be hot about this, like what's interesting about it. And like I certainly think some people fuck for exhibitionist pleasure. Like they like to be on display. And I certainly like to give roadhead, you know? Like I like to be like, ooh, this is kind of a fun adventure, so that makes it more exciting. But like on a jet ski, the logistics outweigh the benefits, right? Like the challenge of being like, how do I literally ride you on this when I'm like already riding this thing? Like we're just gonna fall in the water before anybody comes. Like seems pretty likely. If anything, it'd be like a fuck it, we're on vacation, let's try it kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's a lot of what porn explores, is like sort of fantasy for fantasy's sake sometimes.
That's true. I mean, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about the times that like I've watched something more out of curiosity rather than arousal, you know, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm just a little curious. And then you start watching it and you're like, oh, and like you're not even really turned on, but it's just so like fascinating. You know, it's kind of like when your pets watch you have sex. They're probably like, wow.
They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What? Although my dog is like, stop murdering her. Like definitely thinks something horrible is happening. So depends on your pet.
But to go back to that one question, so like, tell me what is a shift that you've seen like in the porn world? I'm curious because I've stuck to my genres and haven't ventured out, so I don't even know what I think has been like a shift. I know there's been a lot more towards like more ethical porn and things like that. But what are some?
That's that's one of the better things that's happened. And like you see, I think there's a relationship between porn and just greater society, where porn can kind of be a space where certain elements are concentrated, like the racism, the sexism, like problem areas you see in porn are sort of this concentrated extension of society because it's where we go to be private, right? So, so people can really be racist in their porn, you know, because nobody knows what they're watching, right? So like you can see how those trends operate in a more transparent way than what you might see in the mainstream news, for example, or what might seem like apparent in our day-to-day lives. Historically, it's been really interesting to watch porn progress because, you know, it used to be feature porns, right? Like it was fully like Hollywood, and that was in LA. And part of the reason that existed is that LA passed a law defining something as illegal if it didn't have story, right? Like they were like, you can make your smut, but it needs to have a story element and somehow like pass this sort of artistic test. So that's why a lot of like the Boogie Nights era, the era of like porn chic, we saw these like feature length porns that had multiple scenes in them because we would like literally give them a story, and it wasn't worth it or really legal to produce anything else. And then that kind of evolved, and there was the era of like VCR and videotapes, and we saw like scene production, and that kind of took over. We're like, okay, we can figure out a way to do this and condense it and put these like, people just want the porn, right? Like let's cut to the fucking, like we don't need all this fluff. It's sort of like the way that society kind of moved in general. And then the internet ushered in, well, killed a lot of that, because a lot of what you used to have to go to the back of a video store to pay for, you could now get for free online. Like those scenes were being pirated. So you like YouTube actually copied like Pornhub and like aggregate sites. Like we're just actually taking like stealing free content. Like a lot of people are just pirating these clips and putting them online. And here's a website where like the website does not take responsibility for what's on the site. And this is also around the eras of like Pirate Bay and Napster, and when like the internet was kind of this clusterfuck of a lack of copyright and like you know, just stuff being passed around. It was only like very recently that Pornhub decided that anyone who posts anything has to be a verified user. Like you have to identify, you have to provide your identification, which was something they did to try to fight trafficking and like sort of hold their users more responsible for a lot of the stuff that was getting passed around. Yeah. It's a deeper conversation about like what's effective on that front. But now I think a lot of what we're seeing is so content driven. Like everybody's a content creator in the social space. So that has sort of like was similarly like spearheaded in porn, but like mirrored in porn as well, where it's like hard to say the chicken and the egg. But so many creators now have their own profiles because there's no middleman. They're, instead of making a flat grand for a shoot for that day, they can build a bigger audience, they can leverage their audience, and they can monetize everybody who subscribes to their stuff. So a lot of people are going that direction. And you see the popularity of scene production dwindling a bit, but there are like a couple of houses that are kind of holding on. I don't know that either will ever like go away completely, but that's certainly like where the pendulum is right now.
Yeah. By that you mean like Brazzers and like those
Brazzers or like Adult Time. There are still like ethical platforms that produce, and I will say that like a lot of the studio production has become more ethical because of the community network that's involved, and because like if you kind of get branded as a place that people don't want to work, that hurts you. So a lot of those productions, X Confessions, also like a lot of them now have transparency clauses that you can like read on their websites. And they have like consent practices on set. They have like surveys for their performers. They have consent conversations. Like it's all more rigorous. And that's even happening at the places where the content itself might be pretty like misogynistic in like the story or in what you're watching, but that performer is still relatively safe while consenting to like, whatever, I'm going to do this scene where I'm like being gangbanged in a way that isn't necessarily super feminist forward. Like the story of it like really depicts me in a certain way. And it's not like kink.com where they have interviews beforehand and after. Do you know Kink by chance?
No, I didn't know that.
Great website for anyone who's like deep into BDSM and fetish. They have been around for ages and they do like heavy kink stuff. And before and after pretty much every scene that they produce, they have a bunch of different channels. So you can like, there's stuff that's like all about cock and ball torture. There's stuff that's all about femdoms. There's stuff that's specifically about sounding, or it's about like gay guys doing this specific, like it's kind of like any flavor of the week, but different specialties. But a lot of their scenes and most of their production has a before and after interview with the performers. So you'll like see the performers sitting there in their robes and they're like, yeah, we met at that other shoot like that time. Like, I'm really excited to fuck you. And like, they'll kind of have like a sweet conversation. You'll hear the person, like the director behind the camera, reminding them of safe words and just actively asking them in front, like on camera, like, what do you like? What are you not comfortable with? Any hard no's? Like having that conversation for camera. And then you see them after the scene and they're like sweaty and their makeup's smeared and their like hair's frazzled and they're like, I had a great time. And they talk about the scene. And occasionally they will be like, you know, I don't need to do that again. You know, like it's rare because I think they're all performers and they want to be like, have me back. That was great. And like have their own dialogue with themselves about like the more finite details. But occasionally you'll see a performer. And I love it because I want them to be honest, but they'll be like, yeah, I got a little overwhelmed. Like, I'm okay, but I realize that's not really my thing. You know, like I tried this thing and it didn't really click. You know, like you'll see that too sometimes.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a really nice practice.
I'll have to check it out. Lots of honesty there. I don't do a lot of kink porn, but I mean, that's a good like resource to know for like anyone who's looking. So especially for anyone that like wants to get into kink and to like see like a good solid example of
exactly.
it.
I love to hand that out to people and like I haven't put it together and I should stop talking about it and just do it. But I've thought about doing like a quiz where like what is it that you're looking for? Like what kind of porn like experience do you have? What's hot to you? Because it very much depends on who's asking me. Like where do I find porn? I'm like, well, do you want to just watch women fuck? And do you want it to be like soft and gentle and for there to be like a nice curtain blowing like wind through the window? You're like, do you want to feel safe in that kind of environment? I would send you to Bellessa. They have a lot of free content. They also have premium content. They're great for like femme people who want to see like conventionally hot people fuck and they want to see like scene sex, you know? If you're super kinky and you like didn't know that the internet had scene porn to offer in the super kinky space, I would say kink.com. If you're queer and or like a person of color, or you're trans, or you're like really looking for work that is generally unrepresented, I would send you to Pink Label. Okay. That's run by one of the few women who manages, a woman who's a person of color who runs one of the largest porn platforms. She did Crash Pad, which is kind of canon for queer people. It's an
I've heard of that.
It was a series out of the Pacific Northwest, I think Seattle specifically, where it was like just the same room, and the idea was this key was passed around and different couples or different triads or like people would go in and fuck in this room. And that was like the I shouldn't misquote because I'm not sure how far back it goes, but you watch Crash Pad and you're like, oh, this is old. Like I can see this is like from a time. And that series was really like seminal for a lot of queer people and for queer culture. So Shine Louise Houston, who created Crash Pad, evolved into building a larger platform, which is Pink Label, or like pinklabel.tv is the actual website. And you can, I think it's a very cheap subscription, and it's like a whole library of stuff. So you can search like, I'm looking for trans mask solo porn. Like I just want to watch a trans mask performer touch themselves. Like you can find that there. Or you can find like X Confessions there. You can find like other bigger platforms that are also hosted on the site. But it's a great place if you're like, I don't think porn for me exists. It's a great place to start. And then there's also similarly like little independent production houses or little director made content, or like even content creators in the indie space will be like, okay, I'm going to host this on Pink Label and like license it out to them because it has this bigger audience and the thing I do is really niche, but they can find me there and then like find my other stuff from there.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I always, whenever I have discussions like this, I realize that like the porn I watch is very basic,
and I don't venture out enough. I
don't
really
either.
don't. Yeah, it's either hentai or and when you were talking about like how everything has progressed from like video to like internet and all of that, I realized too how like our attention spans have also changed.
Yeah.
Where I used to sit through 10, 12, 20 minutes of a video, now if I can find a GIF that has exactly what's going to get me off, I will just watch that GIF,
Wow,
whatever.
a GIF.
Yeah, over and over until I come.
I think GIF is correct, but I like GIF better. Like,
GIF,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what okay, the little repeating,
that's wild. I don't think I could come from like just an image. Like
really?
Like
I can. And I was thinking about that when you were talking about that, because I was like, in the content that I consume, like just on a day-to-day TikTok, for the most part, it's the short clips and like, sure, sometimes I'll sit there for like a minute or two at most, but for the most part, it's like something that's like under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so, there are a few sites where like I found and Tumblr's also great. No, I don't know if that's very
Tumblr's
ethical,
great.
but,
It's like it's like nostalgic to me.
It is. But if I find if I type in specific movement that I'm looking for and I find the movement that I know is going to get me there, I just watch it over and over until I come.
What's the movement?
Depends on what I want that day. Sometimes
is it
it'll
as
be like
simple as like thrusting, like penetration, or is it like doggy style? Like what do you mean?
Usually it'll be like or at least my top 3 in that like realm would be like if it's a girl like revealing her boobs.
Just a boob shot. Wow.
Just if it's like a nice reveal. The second one would be like
so much
a girl getting eaten out, like a girl.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that depending on like because usually you can just scroll through so many options, and so I see one that I'm like, oh, that's hot, and then I'll go for that. That's the second, and then the third would be, they're all related to women. Like a girl having like her nipples like sucked on.
I love that.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And so if I find something in that realm like that I think is really hot, I'll just watch it until I come, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Good on ya. Yeah. I like, if anything, I'm like slightly desensitized where I'm like, I need, like, it's gotten to the, like, it's not that I need, there's a word for this, which is threshold conditioning.
Okay.
Which I learned in the sex coach certification training, that speaks to like when your threshold for stimulation can kind of move, that like, there's a lot of problems that are sort of misattributed to porn, but one that can be real is that like sometimes you want edgier and edgier stuff. You like get more stimulated by different things. That's not exactly what happens with me, but it's certainly like I want to watch fucking. Like I want to watch the fucking itself. So like the gesture of someone just like showing their tits like isn't visually stimulating enough for me, I would say.
Interesting.
But
I would agree.
yeah.
For me, it is.
And I am bisexual. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any problem with the boobs. Like I love the boobies, but I'm like, I want to be the one sucking on them, or I want to watch someone actively be like grabbing one and fucking the girl at the same time. You know, like all of it, you know, like I want the acts like in full.
Yeah.
Wait, so what's like a common, I would say, like category that you like to watch? Do you watch mostly like if you enjoy watching like the fucking like the actual, is it penetration or?
So it's not like so I actually don't like a meat shot, which is like what we call when it's just penetration, when you have like this super close up on just like a dick going in and out. That to me takes me out of it, because I'm like, it's just like a disembodied body part. Like it just becomes anatomy more than anything else. Some people love that. Like they like the close up, they want the skin, like they want the feeling of like having their face in there. But that just on its own doesn't do it for me. It's more about like, so I don't necessarily search by category, because there's just so many of them. I mean, it's funny that like our episodes are structured by category, so it's a totally like brilliant question. But for me, like I'll find performers I like, or occasionally, like there was a phase where I was just like rough sex, and like that was my category. Like I just wanted to see like vigorous fucking, you know, and was like, I also like came into the game with a lot of like gay porn and like lesbians, although with like a lot of mainstream lesbian porn, a lot of it is very like soft, and we're like eating the pussy very delicately, like we're gonna hurt it, like just like barely getting in there, and I'm like, get your fucking face in there and like suck on it, you know. So then it's like, well, I want to see like real queer women, you know, I want to see like someone like really going to town who like knows how to do business with a clit, you know. So a lot of times for me, it's about believable chemistry. It's about like removing the distracting elements. Like it doesn't have to be in an Italian villa. It could be like a hotel room or like anywhere. But if I believe these people want to fuck, it just heightens it so much for me. Like some of my favorite series are like Ex Confessions is a lot of great stuff. Occasionally Ex Confessions is like a little hokey, or there's like more scene than I need. I really just want to be like, I love Bishop Black. I love Amarna Miller. I'll watch them fuck. Like those are great performers. They're friends. I know they want to fuck each other. I know they have trust with each other. Like you almost get to know like your favorite performers because they can build that chemistry in a scene. I also love Four Chambers. I go back to there pretty regularly. That's Vex Ashley's platform. She is like a self-proclaimed like art school bullshit porn creator, where like she fully went to art school and is like kind of a theater nerd like me. And so she puts together these like really interesting, sort of thoughtfully curated sets and scenarios. Sometimes she goes into like playing with fluids or like sort of horror elements, and we'll kind of go genre or like use conventions that are sometimes more than I need. But she's kinky and the sex is hot. So it's like a great combination. And it's either like, she has an incredible film called L'Appel du Vide that is a threesome in an abandoned warehouse, essentially.
Dope.
And I was like, fuck yeah, because I love like abandoned shit. I love group sex. And it was all like performers I know and trust, you know, like who I think are really hot. And like, I believe that they want to fuck each other. Another great one is Stoya's Around the World in 80 Ways, where she just invited friends to fuck her when she was in different parts of the world. So she's like, this is Around the World in 80 Ways, Los Angeles. I'm fucking making mod, and we're using a condom because there's laws about that right now in Los Angeles. So like, this is like, we're going to be wearing condoms, which is like not typical for us. So there was a condom law put in place a few years ago that like required porn performers to wear condoms specifically in like Los Angeles. And this was an attempt to drive out the porn industry from Los Angeles, but it was eventually repealed because it just hurt the economy in general. Like, this is stupid. So like porn production kind of moved to the outskirts and like pushed
out of LA. Is that why I went to Chatsworth? Is that LA County? You know,
I don't know where the county ends and begins.
I should know.
I should know. I mean, there was a fear for a while that it would just like fully push it to like Rhode Island, like that it just would leave
I just went
California
to
altogether. But it's like, no, like when you put the dollars and cents together, like they're gonna change their minds. But yeah, so like she does different scenes with different friends of hers, essentially, like in different parts of the world, and like Berlin and LA and like Belgrade, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, like, I actually really like the content that has come from like content creators in a way, because like as much as, you know, the, what do you call them, the production houses, yeah, as much as what they know and do and is great and all, and we've all seen it because it's like what's been around more often, like, you know, in the past couple of years when we see like, you know, the couples that get on OnlyFans, and like there's this one couple, for example, that I watch, and it's often them like on their bed at home. They put these like cool colored lights, so it's like all like pretty, but it's not fancy. It's just a bed and it's got a red or pink hue to it. Yeah, and it's just the two of them. There's no dialogue. You can only see like below their nose. This is actually, I was just thinking about this, the only like hetero porn that I really watch, but it's just the two of them and they're like kissing. They'll go like down on each other. They'll, you know, do all kinds of things, and like you can like feel the chemistry and the love, kind of like what you were talking about, the performers that, you know, that like, you know, they want to fuck. Like you see this couple and you're like, I know they want to fuck because they love each other. Yeah. And then, so you get like a window into their relationship. It's hot, it's sexy, and it feels a lot more connected. It's, you know, their videos are pretty short, like 8 minutes long. So my attention span's like, we can handle this. Yeah. And so like, I've really enjoyed seeing some of the content that has come from like people that are like, kind of coming up with their own ideas and doing it a little more creatively.
And that you're like, you want to be fucking, and like I'm sure it's complicated for them to be navigating like their careers and their sex lives, and like I've seen some interviews with them, some of those performers who are like, yeah, we have to kind of decide like, is this for the audience, is this for us, like, and even have to like take care of their own sex lives while also fucking for money. But like, have you checked out the Marleys or Leo Lulu?
Yes. Leo Lulu is one I really like.
Yeah. So like a lot of like those content creators you can find through the platforms by searching like amateur. Yeah. And like Leo Lulu, I think was like number 1 or 2. I was at the Pornhub Awards a few years ago and they won their category, which I think was like best amateur or like something that. They cover their faces, but they're like insanely hot. And I always fantasize about like seeing the little banana tattoo on his leg out in public and be like, it's you. Like I can figure out who you are.
But it's true. I love watching their videos because like you just feel the like chemistry between them.
Yeah, they're just fucking hot. They clearly like to fuck, and they have to be like fitness models otherwise, and that's probably like why they cover their faces. I mean, maybe they, who knows, but because there's myriad reasons that you wouldn't want to be identified as a porn performer necessarily, but yeah, super hot. The Marleys are a couple as well who like, they do a more sensual thing. Like they'll often have like an aerial shot of their bed and she'll have like a little tub of coconut oil and it'll just be like, I'm not even sure if they use music, but if I had to sort of guess from my memory, I feel like it's like spa sounds, you know, like it's very like soothing in there. Like it's all like sort of earth tones and like a very
water
thoughtfully,
trickling.
Yeah, there's like water, they have a waterfall in the room in the background.
A bird's chirping.
It's all very curated. And she'll give him these like incredibly sensual hand jobs that it's like a 15-minute hand job, but it's like a massage. It's like a full like treatment.
Love that.
But they just have a very sensual connection, and they're on like a bunch of different platforms, but they have a like, it's a very intimate thing that they invite you into.
It's very Taurus coded.
Yeah, man. I feel like I always say like I hate because I go on Pornhub. I try not to watch porn as much. I had a kind of an addiction to it in college.
Oh, I see. So you're just sort of pacing yourselves kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was pretty bad for a few years, and then finally I got like a hold of it, and I let go of porn for a few years, and then I slowly got back into it. But like I never changed my category. It's always, when I go on Pornhub, it's like big tits, blonde, lesbian. That's it. And then usually what comes up is the fucking MILF porn, which I hate. I prefer like the lesbian like massage porn. I feel like that's usually better for me. But like recently, and I don't watch porn that often, maybe like a few times a month, if that. But recently I was like, okay, you know what? I have to branch out. So I started watching like tentacle porn. And I was like, okay, because that's one of the best ways for me to like watch dicks and porn is when it's animated. Yeah.
So, or do you like that it's not a dick attached to a man, or like what interests you about the tentacle porn specifically?
Well, I also just love that it's like usually like an alien or something, and you can only see like half their face or whatever, but it's just like this big ass like body or whatever, masculine body, and then with like a giant cock. And I'm like, okay, that'll do it for me. But typically I'm not like Nikki where it's like just the little snippet. Like I actually like watching some
You like
of
watching
the
the
story.
scene, yeah, the story play out a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, and that's why like I like the massage porn is if it like, you know, because it kind of like plays on like, oh, it's just a massage, but then it turns into more like that. I can actually come more from like that turning point than like actually just watching them fuck.
When that's done really well,
Yes.
I love it. And one of the fun things about the show is like when we discover something we didn't think we'd be into and we're like, uh-oh, like this is hot. That was my experience with our stuck porn episode.
Wait, what's stuck porn?
So stuck porn is like when you're the stepmom or the stepsister, or like whoever's in proximity is doing laundry and she goes to dig a sock out and gets stuck in the dryer, which has never happened to anyone, but like, or she gets stuck in the window. It's dubious consent.
Yeah.
So the whole premise is that she's not entirely consenting or not consenting at all.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember this episode.
Yeah, like the stepson is like, she's like, help me. And he's like, oh, well, while you're here, like, I'm just going to have my way with you. And I thought that I would hate it because it would just feel rapey, you know? Like, I thought that I'd be like, I don't want to go anywhere near this, you know? But that turning point that, like, if they do it right, like, it's not, I don't like it if the whole scene, the chick is like, stop, I hate this.
Yeah, no.
Are you done yet? And it's just kind of like whiny.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I want you to, so like, if there's a turning point where they're like, oh, what are you doing? Like, don't do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Actually, oh, fuck. Like, if they just suddenly get into it, like, similar thing with ignoring porn. Like, I really love dubious consent. That's something that's been, like, defined for me by the pod that I'm like, oh, okay, if it starts with this kind of resistance, but then we buy that the woman unlocks something or the sub or the bottom, like, whoever's receiving, and then they're like, that makes it even hotter because then you get a sense for their consent and it's enough for me to be like, oh, it's not entirely in this world that feels uncomfortable to me. It's actually about them like unlocking something kinky, and like the added taboo of that, like the added potential of the heat for that is like extra fucking powerful, you know? Like
That's
that can be really hot. Yeah.
That's what I need. And I like that you called it dubious consent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the term.
Yeah.
That's what I need to hear. That's what I need to learn from this episode.
I feel like that answers my question. I was going to ask what your guilty pleasure is in porn.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. We started to talk about like categories because I don't really search by categories anymore, but like the way that you would find stuff, like rough sex was big, and that definitely felt like a guilty pleasure, and that was where it would sometimes get dicey because I would be like, is she okay? But I want her to get fucking pounded. So like, how do I navigate holding both those things? I also would watch a lot of movie sex scenes, and I still go back to some of those as like favorites because the production value is good.
Yeah.
And I don't need the meat shot. I just need to believe they're fucking. So like Unfaithful is like a die hard, like I can just go back to that and it's like a Pavlovian dog response where like it's almost GIF level where like I can just start to watch and be like, this'll do it, you know, because it's just like good chemistry and it's hot and it has a little of that dubious consent. And it's like, it's just gonna get the job done because it's believable and it's good, you know?
you
I was
should
gonna say the
watch.
same.
You should watch the movie called Adore.
Ooh, I haven't seen this.
It's Australian. It's got Robin Wright and what's that one blonde chick? What's her name?
There's a lot of one blonde chicks.
Shit. Well,
give me something else to work with. Blonde chick
No,
from
I know. I'm trying. I mean, she's very well known. Fuck. Okay, hold on. Let me pull.
Cameron
this up.
Diaz.
No, not Cameron Diaz.
That one blonde chick, Reese Witherspoon, would
Not
not
Reese
be
Witherspoon.
in that kind of movie. No.
Wait, Adore the movie. Oh yeah, there we go. Anyways, the sex scenes in this one, hot.
Nice. Okay.
And like, you know, it's not like they show much, but like it's good. Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts. Okay.
Robin Wright.
Yeah,
I
she
would
does some
never
sexy
guessed
stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive. That's also canon for like great sex scenes with Naomi Watts. She does some great stuff in that. There's also a movie that she fucks Mark Ruffalo in that's pretty hot. Yeah, I love a hot sex scene. Even though I know the filming of them is not hot.
Yeah.
yeah.
Even
Okay.
less so than porn, I think.
Which that actually brings up a question for me. So like, you know, there's porn, there's also like movies. Do you get off on like reading like raunchy books as well?
I don't do that as much as some people do.
Yeah.
Like, I think I should. Like, it's almost a world that I feel like I should delve more into because I like writing erotica. Like, I like the sex can be like an artful thing. Like, I will occasionally do like a full fucking novella of like, here's the fantasy and here's something that I want to have play out. And that's really hot to receive. But like, I haven't spent a lot of time on like literotica. Like, I've read like Anais Nin, and like she's written some like erotica that I find really hot and was like, oh, this is doing it for me. But it's just like not like I haven't fully gotten into like smut literature, and it's a good reminder. I should like.
I mean, I think it's different for everyone. Like, I have a friend who she can like read a whole scene and like masturbate to it, and it's like for me that's different. Like, I love reading smut and like the, you know, having it play out in my imagination in my head, but like I can't get off to it. Like, it'll turn me on, sure,
I can't,
but I can't get off to it.
Yeah, I can't say that like I've masturbated specifically to reading.
Yeah.
It's like been hot and stimulating, but like I've become such a visual person that I'm like,
Same.
yeah, I like to watch it. And like if I can just jump in and do that and have such a like library of that kind of thing, that it's like, that's more what I lean on. But it's interesting. Like, I like to sort of play with my own impulses and like what I find stimulating. Like this is not related to porn, but there was an era when I was like using a vibe exclusively, and I made a point to be like, I need to come with just my hands. Like, that needs to be something that I can do, that I can teach other people to do. Like, I don't want to lose that skill, essentially.
Yeah.
So similarly, what this is bringing up is that I'm like, yeah, I should read literotica and just like see if getting more into it is something. Because like making the show, I watch less porn recreationally than I used to.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching porn so regularly that I'm like, you know, like I don't really need. And like occasionally it'll be like a fun treat, but it's less exciting than when I felt like I was doing something dirty or something unusual or something novel when I was doing it. So that's a good reminder.
I never got off to books, but they did inspire a lot of my like kinks, which was always great. But I don't know why this reminded me of, because normally, like, I've had it to where like I'll read something and I'm like, oh, I want to try this. I'll go try it and I love it, whatever. But there was one book that I read that I was like, I'm not gonna go try this, so I'm gonna go find porn.
Yeah.
That like lets me explore this. It was a book called Credence by Penelope Douglas. Not to like spoil it, but she ends up fucking her uncle and her cousins, who they all live together. In this, they get trapped in the winter in a cabin. Anyway, it's great. And I remember I was like, well, I'm not going to go do that with any of my cousins or uncles. So that was the one time that I looked up like more like, I guess, incest type porn, because it was like my one avenue to be like, okay, this was hot when I read it. I don't know why I like this. Let me just see. And I think when I ended up watching the porn of it, it was like, it was fine. Like, it wasn't anything that was like super, like, I liked it. I didn't ever like really like go back to it. But I remember that was the one time that a book actually, like
open something up.
Yeah, open something up. Let me explore it, and then I went to porn for it, and yeah, it was kind of fun, a fun little experience.
Yeah,
it was a good book though. If you ever want to read something that's taboo,
I will have to check that out. Yeah, Taboo is so powerful. Like, it's so much of like what turns us on. You know, like we almost have to be grateful for the repressive elements in society because they create taboo, and that makes it like hotter. So
exactly,
we had a great guest on Girls on Porn come talk about nunsploitation.
Wait, what?
Nunsploitation.
Is it what it sounds like?
Yep, that's exactly what it sounds like. She makes porn that is like is sacrilegious, like by design. That like like she was like she's in like a nun habit and having someone like eat her out from underneath it, you know, like that kind of like in a chapel, you know. So she's really leaning into religious themes, and nunsploitation was the topic, which is like a larger like category of like film, like any kind of like exploitation film, like blaxploitation film, where like it's leaning into a trend or it's leaning into an identity and subverting it to a certain extent. So with nunsploitation, there's some like feature films that are about a sort of sacrilegious storyline kind of thing.
Love that.
But she is Polish, and her upbringing in the society that she grew up in is very repressive.
Yeah.
And she was like, on the one hand, fuck Catholicism. On the other hand, we have them to be like grateful for, because it gives us the taboo that makes it hot to fuck with like Catholic ideals.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a really great point. Like, I spend so much energy like fighting the power. But I'm like, on the other hand, like there are silver linings, you know?
I like that perspective. I think that's a great perspective.
It can be helpful when you get frustrated.
I don't know why that reminds me of the fact that like my name is based on a movie in Argentina that was like popular at the time that I was being born. But it was about a chick who fucked a priest or something like that.
Wow.
And
Your
then-
parents are not sexually progressive. They don't know what they did.
Yeah. So it was.
It's like they preordained you for your
I know,
life.
right?
Yeah.
I
They
was
set
like-
forth your destiny, whether they meant to or not.
Manifestation. Whoops.
That's
But
fun.
yeah.
We'll have to do a whole nother episode on Taboo because I could go on and on for that.
Yeah,
subject.
it's a fascinating topic. And it comes up like basically every episode where we're like, why is this hot? And we're like, the taboo.
Yeah.
Why is this hot? Well,
The
it's taboo.
Yeah.
Like, why is this hot? And it's taboo. You
Well,
know?
it reminds me of like, you know, because I have like a sunroom and sometimes I get like custom requests for like people that like want pictures and it's like, you know, you and your twin together and we're like, no.
I'm sure
it's
you
like-
get a lot of that.
But it's like
yeah.
the taboo and they want that. And I'm
you
just
said the
like,
incest thing. Incest is all taboo. Yeah. It's all like wanting the thing you can't have.
exactly. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not playing on this. Sorry. Go find another set of twins to give you those pictures because I won't.
Yeah.
So.
Do I have any final questions?
I don't know. Any lasting thoughts? Well, I mean, especially for like your show, like,
Oh yeah. What do you want to do? Where do you want to see Girls on Porn go?
Where do I want to see Girls on Porn go? Well, we have been hatching TV ideas. I think it would be amazing to bring a concept to TV. There was a while where we were like developing what that might be, and I was a little bit more aggressively in the TV space, and we were thinking about pitching it. It's not super active right now, but would love to do a show where like we could bring you into porn performers' houses and show you like these are truly just people with families who happen to do sex work, and like let's destigmatize what this is. We also wanted to direct a porn and have that be like one of the culminating events of the series, you know? But also have it be like comedy and fun and kind of like late night talk style where we like do similar things to what we do on the show, where we like make fun of the worst of it, but champion the best of it, you know, like champion what's possible. So maybe someday
Yeah, I
that'll
love
be a
that.
thing. Yeah. But
That's great.
yeah, and we just like, I mean, it's become this wonderful, like, sustainable part of our lives. And, you know, as a result, a lot of people have started kind of coming out of the woodwork and asking me for help. You know, they're like, I know that you're someone I can trust with my sexual problems. Like, you won't judge me for them.
Yeah.
Like, how do I've never had a penetrative orgasm. Like, I've never had a G-spot orgasm, or like, I feel like things are dwindling with my partner, and it like helped me come up with ideas to like make it spicy, which is partially why I'm certifying now as an educator and coach more officially. Like, I've had the podcast for years, have been in the sex pause space for years, but I'm now officially like starting to build a practice to help people on an individual level and like work with them on whatever they might try to improve or enhance in their sex lives. So that's
Love
pretty
that.
exciting too. Yeah.
That, I feel like that's what for us. It's the same. Our friends like usually come to us for anything sex related because they're like,
Yeah.
I know you'll know the answer.
Yes, exactly.
So, and it's like fun because like, you know, it's great to be like that safe space and like, you
Exactly.
know, yeah,
like it's
really nice.
genuinely sort of transcendent and wonderful to be like, let me help you unlock something. And like, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, like people just want to let go of that shame and that fear. And it's a really powerful feeling to be able to help them with that.
100%. I think that's my favorite part too, is that like when you help someone unlock something, and that's like, that's always just so rewarding.
Yeah.
But thank you again for joining us. Would you like to plug yourself?
Sure. So you can find Girls on Porn anywhere you listen to podcasts. Anywhere social, we're Girls on Porn, porn without the O, because social media is largely censored these days.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Girls on Porn, porn without the O. You can also find me as a sex educator and coach at tinyurl.com/Laura Coaches.
Love that. And we'll link it all in the episode description and everything as well.
Right. And my personal Instagram is at Ramadei. It's my last name, Ramadei. But you can find me there individually.
I said
too.
it right earlier, right?
You did.
Yes.
You did. You nailed it.
No, it's
Love
a
it.
beautiful last name.
Thank you.
And guys, y'all know where to find us at Double Team Podcast, at Cammy and Nikki, all the usual shit. Links are, well, all the whole spiel is there. Anyways, wear condoms, and we'll see y'all next week. Woo!
Thank you. That was great.
having you.
Thank you.